MS Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences.
Micrometer screw gauge. Construction. Micrometer screw gauge is an instrument used to measure the diameter of a thin wire or the thickness of a metal sheet up to an accuracy of the third decimal place of a centimeter. Screw gauge has a U-shaped frame on the flat end A called the stud. There is a long cylindrical nut at the other end and nut is threaded from inside. There is a screw with a flat end B that can move inside the nut by rotating the hollow cylinder of thimble provided at the other end. A reference line graduated in millimeter is drawn on the cylinder attached to the nut. This reference line is called the main scale. Hollow cylinder or thimble is also graduated and is divided into equal parts, generally 50 to 100 parts. This graduated part of hollow cylinder is termed as head scale. There is a ratchet attached to the screw by a string. The ratchet is used to turn the screw. Pitch of a screw gauge. Whenever we use a micrometer screw gauge, we have to first find out the pitch. Pitch of a screw is the distance traveled by the tip of the screw when the head of the screw is rotated once. That is, the pitch is the distance between the two consecutive threads on it. In order to determine the pitch, rotate the screw 5 times and record the distance traveled by the main scale. Distance moved by the main scale is equal to 5 mm. Number of revolutions is equal to 5. Therefore, pitch is equal to distance moved by thimble on main scale divided by number of revolutions, that is equal to 5 divided by 5, which is equal to 1 mm. Least count of a screw gauge. Least count of a screw gauge is the smallest distance moved by the tip of the screw when the screw turns through one division. Least count is equal to pitch divided by number of divisions on the circular scale. Least count is equal to 1 by 100 mm, which is equal to 0.01 mm. Determination of zero error of a screw gauge. At times, on bringing the flat end of the screw in contact to the stud, the zero of the circular scale does not coincide with the zero of the main scale. This is a mechanical error and referred to as zero error of screw gauge. Depending on the position of zero of circular scale, zero error is of two types, namely positive zero error and negative zero error. Shown here are 3 screw gauges A, B and C. In screw gauge A, zero of circular scale and that of the main scale coincide. That is, screw gauge A is free of zero error. In screw gauge B, zero of the circular scale is below the reference line of the main scale. Screw gauge is having a positive zero error. Let us now find out the positive zero error. Note the circular scale division coinciding with the reference line. Zero error is obtained by multiplying coinciding circular head scale division by the least count of the screw gauge. In case of screw gauge C, zero of the head scale is above the reference line of the main scale. Screw gauge is having a negative zero error. To calculate the negative zero error, note the divisions of the circular head scale that coincides with the reference line. Subtract the coinciding division from the total number of divisions on the circular scale. Now, take the least count, multiply the difference by the least count and assign a negative sign to it. Determination of diameter of a wire using screw gauge. To measure the diameter of a wire with the help of a screw gauge, following procedure is adopted. Find the least count of screw gauge. Now, check whether the screw gauge has zero error or not. Place the wire in between the stud and the flat end of the screw. The ratchet is turned clockwise so as to hold the given wire gently between the stud and flat end of the screw. Note the main scale reading. Find coinciding circular scale reading. Repeat the experiment by adjusting the position of the wire. Diameter of the wire is equal to 3.49 millimeter.
At MSR UAS, we spark your imagination unlike any other.